And what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Turnbuckle Topics podcast. I'm your host, Pat Deneen, alongside my co-host of the Raw Review, Justin. And it's been a while, my brother, but here we are for the Raw Review. We've got a lot to talk about. The most recent episode of Monday Night Raw, we're going to discuss Bray Wyatt, the Bella Twins, and much, much more. Some more history in WWE involving the EST of WWE, Bianca Belair, as we spoke about prior to getting on here. And a lot of exciting stuff here. We're less than 3 weeks away to WrestleMania 39, 2 nights. Cards coming along.
Mhm.
We'll talk about a couple things that are very uncertain and up in the air. But how you doing and how you feeling?
I'm doing well, doing great. Um, yeah, it's been a little bit, but it just means there's more for us to talk about. Um, I mean, the road to WrestleMania since we last left off from our last pod has really, began to gain shape, and these matches, some I'm questionable about, but some of them I'm really excited about, and we're gonna get right into it.
Let's start off by saying happy Austin 316 Day and happy St. Patrick's Day to those who celebrate. I happen to celebrate
Hmm.
both. You know that, man. I mean, my name's Pat.
Yeah,
You know
man.
I'm going to have a couple
Hmm.
cold ones for the Irish and for Stone Cold. And I see you've got your Finn Balor t-shirt on. You must be happy with the latest match schedule between Finn Balor and Edge in Hell in a Cell. I'd like to see him Demon King Finn Balor, but black and purple paint
Hmm.
instead.
I was literally just saying that to my friend on Monday. He was texting me because I had Raw paused for a second, and he's like, "Oh, did you watch what's going on?" And we just talked about the Demon King. I was like, as long as it's black and purple, I think it'd be awesome.
That'd be pretty cool, man. I'd be down with that little Old Bridge Knights colors around here, a little black and purple action.
Oh, okay. There
That'd
you
be
go.
that'd be dope. Well, let's start off with Bray Wyatt. I think that's the biggest thing
Mhm.
we've got to talk about as of late. A report came out Monday evening before Monday Night Raw from Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful.com, stating Bray Wyatt is out of action with an undisclosed quote unquote physical issue. WWE sources claim to Fightful. He goes on to say, "We haven't heard anything regarding rumors of creative issues, and one source denied it. We'll continue asking." Now, again, Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer went on to say, the match is still on. So they claim
Yeah.
between Bobby Lashley and Bray Wyatt for WrestleMania 39. It's expected to take place, and he's supposed to be back in the fold very soon. Now, Wyatt missed the house show at Madison Square Garden Sunday night. Um, and, obviously that raised a lot of eyebrows. There's speculation, again, with the creative or what happened if there's a disagreement. So they're claiming it's a physical issue. I don't know, Justin. I have my concerns on that, to be honest with you. Especially there's been a lot documented, especially with some of the matches involving even Omos, like him or not. He's a big Vince McMahon's a big Omos guy. That Vince may be having a
Mm.
lot of creative control now, and he may be throwing off the direction for one Bray Wyatt as well.
Yeah. I mean, I'm hearing all these reports of that as well. I mean, if you look at it, if you really think about it, an Omos Brock Lesnar match really does seem like it has Vince written all over it.
Yeah,
Um, I'm I'm cautiously optimistic because if you look at the rest of the card so far, has a lot of handprints of Triple H. I think they're fresh matches. I think they're fresh feuds. There's a lot of storytelling. They're really going by what the fans want. I think that's something that Vince in his later years wasn't really doing. So a match like Omos and Brock Lesnar. Now I'm going into that match with zero expectations. So hopefully, Triple H can get his hands on something of that, and we could see at least it salvaged a little bit. But as for that, I have that fear too. I have that fear that Vince is going to come back and try to pull rank and stuff like that. And we got to be just hopeful.
my biggest fear for Bray Wyatt is even beyond WrestleMania. Him and Lashley,
Yeah.
whatever. To me, it doesn't even matter who is to win that match if it does take place. Still, it's man, for Bray Wyatt's mental. Like if this
Yeah.
happens again, where Vince interferes with his vision, where Triple H, we know, has been a big time fan of Bray Wyatt. He even said it at that interview the weekend of Clash of the Castle back in September, a month with Ariel Hawani, a month before Bray even returned at Extreme Rules. And he's like,
Hmm.
I love his creativity, his creative mind. It's just there's so many layers and dimensions to it. And to be quite honest with you, I mean, even prior to the Mountain Dew Pitch Black match with LA Knight at the Royal Rumble, it seems even as soon as we got into the new year, things just started to crumble slowly and didn't make sense from the Bray Wyatt we saw in the fall when he first returned. It's like
Yeah.
he was completely took a detour. So
Yeah, and I mean that could go back, and it's just unfortunate because with his creative mind, this role, this character, could have been where it started in the fall and where we are now. It could have been built so much more, but you have to go back in. A lot of people don't want to work with Bray Wyatt because of what happens afterwards. There's been, I mean, Seth Rollins is a perfect example. People don't like people love the idea to work with him, but when you actually do it, it can hinder some of your career, kind of push you back, and that's been noticeable in a few people. So I think there's that apprehension, but at the same token, like you said, it's just time to be a little on the fence of the what they're doing with him, because I don't know. Like I feel like this is the only way to salvage it. If so, like I've been pulling for Bray Wyatt. I told you who I think he should go against. A carrying cross. Give him something like that because they're saying he's a top baby face. You got to kind of show that. And their directions, they just seem like one's going this way, one's going that way. I think he deserves better.
oh yeah, I agree completely. Regardless who his opponents or feuds are with going forward, there is literally no direction or nothing to even hold on to. So, I hope Bray Wyatt's okay, whether it's physically, mentally, whatever he's dealing with. I hope to see him back soon, and hopefully they get salvaged because this is like the third time
Yeah.
now, for Bray Wyatt. So if this doesn't pan out, that's going to be it for him, for sure in
Yeah.
WWE. And that'd be that. All right, well, let's go on to the Bella Twins for a minute here. News broke this past Tuesday that WWE Hall of Famers Nikki and Brie Bella are apparently ditching the Bella surname and rebranding themselves as their actual maiden names, the Garcia twins. They have removed Bella from their social media accounts. Garcia, again, their maiden name. They're not in ring competitors. We thought we might see them back at the Rumble. Of course, there's that whole fiasco with Raw 30 and stuff. We'll get into a little bit later. And last time they entered a ring was last year at the Royal Rumble. So that's a very interesting bit. I mean, who knows? Will they get back in the ring? Could they be AEW bound? Sure. They're good friends with Saraya. They're good friends with Renee Paquette. Of course, Brie's husband, Brian Danielson's been there for a year and a half. So Nikki, two-time WWE Divas Champion, Brie, a one-time Divas Champion. They were inducted into the 2020 Hall of Fame, known for Total Divas, Total Bellas, Birdie Beat clothing line, apparel. The Nikki and Brie show this past Wednesday, they had their first episode on Sirius XM radio. So even if they're not doing wrestling anymore, I do understand the fact of just wanting to rebrand and not be stuck to WWE. It's easy to assume that they're just going to another promotion. Not necessarily the case. So during this 18-second video clip, which I'm sure you saw by now, it said, "This next chapter of our lives is about taking it to the next level, owning who we are and being unapologetically us. Fiercely walking through that open door." Nikki went on to say, "When our contract came up with WWE, we all knew we just needed to head into this new chapter." And yeah, so it's interesting. What do you take of this? Fan of theirs or not?
All right, so let me put this out there. I think they're amazing role models. I love their philanthropy. I love what they've done
But
on the surface.
there's a big
I
butt
never
coming
liked
through it.
I never liked the Bella twins ever. There was never
Really?
a point where I ever cheered for them. There was never a point where I was just no. They never did
Really?
it for me. Yeah, they never did it for me. Never liked the Bella twins.
No kidding.
No, I guess it took today to really be able to
But
honestly say that. So thank you.
guess what? Guess what? You may not have liked the Bella twins, but you sure as heck like the Garcia twins. Now we're talking. You like the Gar? I could see it already. I could see it already. Hey, again, from the latest and not so greatest bit, where I can
Mhm.
understand this was a major decision for them, but the whole Raw 30 fiasco, right? They flew into
Yeah.
Philadelphia. We spoke about this around the Rumble. They flew into Philadelphia, planning to be on the show. WWE and company had no necessary plans for them. They probably
Mhm.
would have been in the back playing poker with the rest of the guys and stuff, or just sitting in the back,
That would have been
um,
fun, and that would have been fun.
holding up the wall, right? But at the same token, I agree with them because WWE did nothing on a 3-hour show, nonetheless, to honor the entirety of the women's division. They didn't do any kind of
Yeah.
segment. Yeah, I'm sure they had a couple matches that I can't even remember. Actually, that was where I had the big gripe where they put it off for a couple weeks. Bailey and Becky were supposed to have the cage match. That didn't even happen. So
Mhm.
I do agree with them from the standpoint in the recent past that they should have honored the women. It's Raw 30, you
Yeah.
know. I think Alondra Blaze was like the only one out there at some point in time, or again, she was back there during the poker games. So
Yeah.
I understand. And hey, look, whatever this means for them, all the best. I don't have any Bella merchandise, but I did cheer for them over the years. I cheered for Brie more times than not. I've met them; they've been very nice. So hey, look, whatever happens, so be it. But I'd be remiss not to bring them up. That's for sure, because it was a big deal. The
Yeah,
Bella
no, I
Army.
get it.
Wait, I need a new hashtag though. So if they're not, if their fans aren't the Bella Army anymore, what do we got for the Garcia? What are we going
The
to trend
Garcia
now?
group. The
Garcia groupies?
Garcia group. Yeah,
Groupies?
yeah, of course.
I kind of like that.
Groupies. I like
I think
Garcia groupies. Oh yeah.
I think
I
I'd
like
rather
it's gotta have a little.
I would rather be a Garcia groupie than part of the Bella Army. I'll be honest.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. I mean, I'm not gonna be part of either.
Come on, you're gonna do it. You're gonna do it. You're gonna get their new logo. You're gonna get it tattooed. I know it.
I mean, if they go to AEW, if they end up going to AEW, I hope they keep the same theme. I love their theme song. The theme song I can get on board with.
Theme song's dope. What'd you think of Bree's theme when she went
Wait,
solo? The Bree mode song. Remember that one?
no. See, that's how much I pay
Come
attention to
on.
them. All I know is you can look, but you can't touch. That's my favorite.
Look, we're not gonna sing any more of that. Let's honor the late great. I can't believe it's been 1 year already. The late great, the bad guy, Razor Ramon, Scott Hall. It's already been 1 year
Wow.
since he passed away. So
Wow.
as he said, hard work pays off, dreams come true, bad times don't last, but bad
But
guys do. That's right. So a shout out to Scott Hall, man. Major part of my childhood. I'm sure the same for you as well. Definitely more
Oh,
so
absolutely.
when he was Razor Ramon in WWF. For
Yeah,
me, you know.
definitely. Ladder matches, like him and Shawn Michaels, they set the precedent of what a ladder match should be.
Oh,
And being a
absolutely.
Shawn Michaels fan, even as a heel, growing up, even as a heel, I loved Shawn Michaels. It's just his attitude and his charisma. So I got a lot of Razor Ramon like matches under my belt of what I've seen of him.
Were you more of a fan of the heel Razor or when he was babyface for a little bit?
Heel, definitely heel.
Yeah, he was
Because I
definitely
just feel
more
like
fitting.
yeah, like when he when 1-2-3 Kid pinned him.
Hmm.
Like I can honestly like visually see that moment like play in my head. Like I remember exactly what happened off the moonsault.
Yeah,
Man, good time.
that
Good
was
time to
great
be
stuff,
alive.
brother. Did you happen to catch NXT this week? I happen to see it. We'll get into that in a little bit, but did you?
I saw highlights. They did a very old school tape. You could tell Shawn Michaels has his hand in a lot of these things. I love it.
Yes. Yes.
With the
Speaking of HBK, right?
yeah, exactly. Speaking of HBK, with the Grayson Waller going to Johnny Gargano's house to this angle that they have with the women's champion, I think it's pretty cool. Because I actually watched. I told you I was going to watch. What was it? Roadblock
Roadblock last week. Yeah.
last week.
That was a
Yeah,
pretty good
and,
show.
yeah, it was. I enjoyed it because I don't really watch NXT, but there's some people I do enjoy. I do enjoy wating,
It's been,
and
I'll say, it's been better than usual the last couple of weeks. It really
yeah,
has. I guess they're getting ready for that Mania season. Stand and Deliver. It's looking to actually be a really good card before night one, earlier April 1st. So we'll get into that. I spoke to you off air before this, and I said I hope you have your favorite Mariah Carey song from
oh, boy.
2000 to 2010. We're gonna get into it right now, and if you haven't, I'm giving you about 60 seconds more to conjure up one. All right,
I
so
got it.
18 years ago this week, We Belong Together was released. Now, that came out when I was graduating high school. I love that song. That is definitely my favorite in the last from 2000 to 2010. You too?
Yep,
Get out of town. Um,
absolutely. I love
dude,
that song.
it's such a great song. And after I read this, I was watching the music video. I was in my feels. I was in my feels. I put my phone on airplane mode and I was just living in the moment. But this was the second single from the emancipation of Mimi. This became her 16th number one hit in the US, spending 14 weeks at the top, certified 6 times platinum, and was the number one song of the 2000s decade on the Hot 100. So how about that for a little interesting tidbit? Mariah Carey. Now
Yeah,
that album, dude, that album was pretty dope. I remember namely "Shake It Off" was a hit on that album, as well as "Don't Forget About Us." So you know what
that's
I'm
my
talking
number
about.
two.
"Don't
Two
Forget
of my
About Us."
favorite. Yeah, I think those are my two favorite Mariah Carey songs overall. Always
Okay.
Be My Baby is up there.
That's got to
Uh,
be in the top of hers. That would probably prior to We Belong Together. That was definitely mine.
One
Always Be
Sweet
My
Day
Baby.
with Boys to Men. Oh man.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's funny because anybody I've ever like, I'm like, yo, I'm Mariah Carey. Like, you could be Boys to Men, I'm Mariah Carey. Even if it's a girl, no, I got this. I got this.
So where does All I Want for Christmas fall for you? Is that on your list?
I hate that song. I hate that song. I hate everything about that song. That song makes me hate Christmas. Like, I hate that song.
You know, it's funny when
Oh,
I think of that song. I'm not crazy about it either. It just comes on around the holidays. Obviously, it's everywhere. As soon as you're at the Thanksgiving dinner table, it just kind of like comes out with the turkey or something. But um, when I think of We Belong Together and all these other hits from like 2005 and beyond, it doesn't even resonate with me as it being from the same artist. You know what I mean? It just
yeah.
completely hits different. Obviously, it's a holiday Christmas
Ugh,
song, but well, we know where you stand on it.
yeah.
So,
I don't.
speaking of Mariah Carey, her birthday is coming up this month, March 27th. She'll be turning
Mhm.
54. So shout out to
Gee,
Mimi.
good
What's
for
that?
her. Good
Yeah,
for her.
shout out to
She's my
Mimi,
mom's
bro.
age.
Yeah. When's your mom's
My
birthday?
mom, November, she'll be 56.
Did she ever watch wrestling? Was she a wrestling fan?
If only because I would make her watch it because I was a little kid.
Attitude Era stuff around there, Ruthless Aggression. Yeah.
No, probably before that.
Really? Caught a
Like
Razor Ramon
when I was
match.
younger, I'm talking, yeah, Razor Ramon. Like I'd have to, like I would have to get her to turn it on, so because my mom would only let me stay up if I watched whatever she was watching. So I'd
Okay.
have to like get her. I'd have to like talk her into that. So like every other night, like she could watch whatever she wants. But Mondays, I was like, Mom, you should turn on USA, and she was like, all right.
That's cool.
So
And then hey, little La Femme Nikita afterwards, right? We spoke about that a couple
yes, that
months
was her.
ago.
And I feel like that's the only reason she loved that show.
Did she really?
Hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, but she was a huge fan of that show.
Great show, man. Great show.
It was it was a good show.
I probably only ever watched it twice, but there was something about the commercials, the advertisements for it that I don't
Yeah,
know. I was all wrestled out by the time it came on, but it's also
I
past my
was a big
bedtime.
Xena fan. I was a big
Xena,
Xena fan.
Princess Warrior.
Warrior Princess.
Yeah, Warrior Princess,
Yeah.
right.
Um, Lucy Lawless.
Not
She
familiar.
was hot. That
Yeah.
was her name.
That was the girl who played that role?
That played Xena. Yeah, Lucy Lawless.
So look, Monday Night Raw this week took place in Providence, Rhode Island at the Amica Mutual Pavilion. Open up the show
Mhm.
with Edge. Open up with Edge, your boy Finn Balor. You're wearing his merch right there. Finn comes
Oh
out with
yeah.
the entire Judgment Day. Edge goes on to tell Finn he showed up to end this. Edge says, "You want your match at WrestleMania? Well, you got it." Edge says he's running out of time. He proposes that they end this at WrestleMania inside Hell in a Cell. And again, like we spoke about months ago, hopefully we get the Brood Edge versus the Demon King Balor. That's the only way to settle this, right?
Exactly.
This could be something really awesome. So Finn goes on to say, Hell spit him out because Hell couldn't handle his demons. Insert Demon King, Finn Balor, which we'll certainly get. So this is going to be good. Judgment Day attacked Edge following their promo segment. Gargano, Candice LeRae, and Dexter Loomis came out to make the save, leading into their scheduled tag team match between the Judgment Days, Damian Priest and Dominik Mysterio versus Gargano and Loomis, which we're going to get to in just a moment here. What do you think about this opening segment? And obviously, you had to be thrilled with this match being squared away at the start of the show.
Yeah, I like how they're doing really good on where they place things during the 3 hours on Raw. I'm really noticing that actually, and this is a good way to start it because they shake it up. They don't have the like you would assume that it would be the Bloodline every week just starting it off, but they really like mixed it up so they can continue with the storytelling, and I really love that. I'm really excited. They've been talking about this. They were supposed to have this match at Royal Rumble, I
Did
believe,
hear that?
but there
Yeah,
was a scheduling conflict with
with Edge.
Edge in the Percy Jackson show that he's filming for Disney Plus.
Okay.
Um, so that was supposed to happen at Royal Rumble, but I'm glad that we're getting it now. Um, yeah, or was it not the Royal Rumble? What was the pay-per-view that was right after it?
Elimination Chamber.
Yeah, because Edge wasn't there, right?
Edge was there. Him and Beth defeated Rhea and Dominik,
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, duh. You're right, right. No, then when was it supposed to be? Because he was at Royal Rumble. I don't know.
I
But
feel
that's
like it
just
was
what I.
supposed to be at the Rumble though, and it makes a lot of sense because they first had that I
Yeah.
Quit match at Extreme Rules, and that's an awfully long time to drag out a feud.
Yeah, that
From
was
October
what,
to
October?
April.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a long time, man. But nonetheless, this is going to be good. We know that much. This is going
Oh,
to be
it's gonna be
really
great.
good. So, going into this tag team matchup here, we had nearing the end of the match, Gargano broke up a near fall after Dominik hit Loomis with a frog splash. Shortly thereafter, Damian Priest hit Dexter with his South of Heaven chokeslam to seal the deal for the Judgment Day in the opening match of the night. So I'm sure you enjoyed this match. It was a good start to Raw, hot start.
Oh
We're
yeah.
going to jump to this next segment here. We saw footage prior to the start of Raw where all three members of Damage Control attacked Trish Stratus backstage. She uploaded a photo on Twitter recently with a black eye, I believe. That's all we really got in that brief segment. Now let's get to this important part here. Brock Lesnar and Omos. Now, it was good. It was actually initially believable when they went face to face. I'm going to be real honest with you here. Omos going face to face with Brock Lesnar. MVP calls Brock out. It calls him an incredible athlete, but a terrible tactician. Says he made a big mistake putting his hands on him 2 weeks ago and made a bad decision accepting Omos's challenge at WrestleMania. Shortly thereafter, Lesnar's music hit. He made his way out to the ring. Two went face to face. Omos picks up his right fist and places it in Brock's face. I thought it was going to pick up quick. Extends it into a handshake. Now, Brock shakes his hand. Omos would not let go. Brock stepped on Omos's foot, made an attempt to suplex Omos, but to no avail. Omos palms Lesnar's face, which I said, wow, I don't recall anybody doing that. Maybe you remember,
Yeah.
when I took a brief hiatus from wrestling. I don't know if anybody ever did that to Brock Lesnar. Palm Lesnar's face, attempts to put Brock over the top rope, couldn't get him over the rope. I know Brock was pissed. Brock had to, because Brock sells well. But Brock was
Yeah, he
having a hard
does.
time getting over the rope because Omos didn't do the job correctly, which I believe, because I don't think Brock would screw that up. Brock eventually topples himself over the top rope, asks for his hat. He looked pretty furious. He was red as a cherry out there. Again, did not look thrilled about it. Looked kind of temperamental. What was your thoughts? Initially, this was good, the face off, but that last bit got a little sloppy.
Oh, it was so cringy. Like when he tried to do it, I was just like, oh no, like I had to look away.
Yeah.
Like when you look away and like because something's like gruesome, like that's what it was to me. I was like, oh god, it was so cringy.
Yeah.
And that goes to show that he's still green.
Yes.
I think
Yes.
he's very green. If you think about it, outside of his squash matches, who's he really fought?
Yeah.
Besides, like Strowman was it. I consider that his only real match.
When I look at Omos, who has it better than him, though, in the last few years? His debut match,
Yeah.
WrestleMania 37, alongside AJ Styles. They win the tag team titles against the New Day in Tampa. Following year, goes up against Lashley at Mania. Now he goes up against Lesnar Mania. This is 3 years in a row. He's getting a marquee match, win, lose, or draw. So it's kind of like, dude, you're getting these opportunities, and what's helping him is obviously the fact he's a big man. That's always going to be to his advantage. Me, growing up playing basketball, middle school, high school, etc. Me, I was, dime a dozen, a point guard, right? But you saw that one big man, he could barely tie his shoelaces, and all the recruits jumped to him because it's like, all right, we could work with him. He's a big man.
Yeah.
These point guards, shooting guards, who cares? We could get them left and right, a Finn Balor, a Chad Gable. That's how Vince looks at it. So my thing is, it would, at least if he was developing in one way or another, as a wrestler or character development, you could at least hang your hat on that. I haven't seen any improvement in 2 or 3 years from either side, and that is why I have issue with Omos being pushed. Honestly, at this point, Commander Aziz, your boy, what's his name? What else does he go by?
Dabba-Kato.
Back on NXT.
I love Dabba-Kato.
I'd honestly rather see him, and I'm not saying he's got the best character or personality, but he could at least go a little bit better in the ring. You know what I'm saying? He's not Omos's size, but I don't know. What do you think about that? Where do you see him post Mania?
I think he's dealt a very unlucky card because with his size, outside of other bigger opponents, it's not believable that he can not lose to somebody. Like he can't. Like how is he supposed to lose to like a John Cena or a Brock Lesnar? Like you got to build him up like against these bigger people. That's why his matches are with Braun Strowman, because like it's just not believable that he's going to lose to this little person. Like,
Sure.
I just watched Creed 3. I saw Creed 3 in the movie theaters, and going into it, like I watched a lot of the old Rocky movies, the old Rocky fights, things like that, and it's just like some of these things are unbelievable. Like there's no reason Rocky should have won these fights, and it's just like the same thing. There's no reason Omos should be losing to a Johnny Gargano or a Dolph Ziggler, and that's why they become squash matches so quick. And I feel like that's the problem, because it's like you got to find that medium person like a Braun Strowman who can go up against both to win a belt for him to make it believable that he could be a champion, because no one else is going to beat him outside of Braun Strowman.
Omos?
So Omos, yeah. And you're saying 3 years in a row, all 3 of those years he's had a mouthpiece. Well, he didn't have a mouthpiece last year, but it's even crazier to think that right after WrestleMania, MVP and him, they've been together for a year, and it's just not been a memorable year for him. And that's what, like, even with a mouthpiece like MVP, because what he did for Bobby Lashley was great. He couldn't replicate that with Omos.
Do you think I mean, we'll get to our WrestleMania predictions in 2 weeks officially, but for this one match at this very moment, do you think an Omos goes over a Brock Lesnar at Mania?
I think he can.
Yeah.
I think he.
I looked at it as more of a moment for Brock when he eventually either F5 or suplexes him. I felt like that was the only reason Brock agreed to that match, but
Yeah,
you know, because obviously
that makes
cut
sense.
down the Bray Wyatt match.
But then where does that question? Where does he go from here?
Yeah, no, it is a great question. Where does he go from here? And I think we beg the same question whether he wins or loses, right? Where does an Omos go from here? It's going to be very difficult to book him. It really is. So
it really is.
We'll see. Let's go to Cody Rhodes. This was a great match, great post-match promo, probably one of his best since he's been back. The American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, going up against LA Knight of Friday Night SmackDown. Justin, can I get a yeah?
Yeah. Let me talk to you.
Let me get a shoosh, please, while we're at it. It's been a while.
Oh, man. Let's see if I still got it. Shoosh, please.
Those are the two best, man. Chad Gable, we will be bringing up, and I said, why wait? It's been a while. We got wait. You got a couple in you for today's podcast. So anyway, this was a solid match. What's that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Solid match between Cody and LA Knight, which we knew we would get. LA Knight trying to work his way on to this WrestleMania card, of course. And if I could just interject here before I get into this Cody LA Knight match, there's two things I could suggest for LA Knight, and you probably heard at least one. I would like to see LA Knight go up against Bobby Lashley if Bray Wyatt does not come back, or I would certainly love to see LA Knight versus Stone Cold if they plan on bringing Austin back, just because forget the in-ring bit. Their segments with a couple of weeks to go, just on the microphone, can be great, realistically.
Hilarious.
You know, have LA Knight, as I suggested on my last episode, have LA Knight come out on SmackDown Friday on St. Patrick's Day, totally badmouth Austin 316 Day, which just took place, totally, you know, talk down about it, and then get him, you know, out the woodwork and get something going for him here, because they got to get LA Knight on that Mania card. I think so.
Oh, man.
Who would you have go against?
Promo guys. I didn't even think of the Stone Cold thing, but I was thinking you have him win maybe like a Andre the Giant Royal, like a Andre the Giant Battle Royal. I think they should bring that back. I think that should be. There's so many wrestlers like super mid card who really aren't doing anything, you know, like a Damian Priest, and or maybe have him win or have them go the distance, something like that. I think that would be good. Or like you said, after hearing it, that Austin bit would be really good if they want to do that with Austin.
If they plan on bringing Austin, I figured why not? I mean, let the two go at it. I think it would be fun, especially because LA Knight kind of mirrors his gimmick off of Austin and The Rock. So I think it would be great. Yeah. You know, putting the two together. Yeah. So anyway, this Cody LA Knight match was very good. Crossroads to LA Knight for the win, as we expected Cody getting that momentum to his Night 2 main event spot against Roman Reigns for the undisputed WWE Universal Championship. Now, very passionate promo. I'll sum it up here. A few brief notes regarding Cody's post-match promo. Kodo. So he goes, look, I wear a tailored suit not because I am somebody, but I want to be somebody. Roman Reigns, I acknowledge you, damn it, but I want you to acknowledge me. I waited my whole life. On April 2nd, I will wait no more. I will be the first Rhodes to say I am the undisputed WWE Universal Champion. Again, this was a great promo. WWE obviously trying to cover as much ground with Cody and Roman as they can in the next couple of weeks. Realistically, I wish they had 5 more weeks to get this really going, trying to expedite the Cody Roman bit. But anyway, they said what on Monday Night Raw coming up, Roman will be there, and Cody and Roman will probably have another segment, said Paul Heyman later on in the show. So what do you think about this promo? How do you feel about the way this is coming together between Roman and Cody?
So first off, I just want to say I'm really glad that this wasn't a squash match. I'm really glad that LA Knight was able to get some offense in. I thought it was a really good match. I thought it was well paced. As for the promo, what I really liked is that WWE really wants you to know that they are main eventing the night 2. Mm-hmm. He reiterated that like 4 times. Yeah. Like April 2nd. All right, we know. April 2nd. Okay.
Last match of the show. Yep.
And I'm all here for that. Mm-hmm. What they do day 1, that's a whole nother story. That's a whole nother argument we can get into another day. But I think I thought it was great. I think it's such a good balance of bloodline against Cody Rhodes and Cody Rhodes going against the going for the belt to live out his family dream that no one else was able to do. I think they're doing a really good balance with that, incorporating a Sami Zayn and a Kevin Owens into the storyline to make it make sense. I think that's great. I think this is such good storytelling from the moment he eliminated Gunther at Royal Rumble to where we are now, to where it's going to get. This match is going to be the pinnacle of WrestleMania weekend, and I couldn't be more excited about it.
Speaking of Gunther, I want to bring him up real quick. We did see on SmackDown this past Friday, at the very same time, Sheamus and Drew McIntyre pinned their opponent, leading to what we thought was initially going to be a triple threat match at Mania for the Intercontinental Championship against Gunther. Now we see that Sheamus versus Drew will be happening this Friday to find out Gunther's true number 1 contender. By the way, shout out to Drew McIntyre. Come to find out, the last day or two, he was sick as a dog during that SmackDown match. He pushed through as he always does. Whenever he's sick or not feeling well, he's worked, other wrestlers have too, but he's been a real locker room leader is what I'm getting at. So shout out to Drew. But how did you feel about hearing it's going to be just one person? Because I thought 3 people would have been great. Have Sheamus pin Drew. You protect Gunther going forward if he goes for an eventual world title shot, whether it's Roman, whether it's Cody, whomever. So how do you feel about this? And do you still see Sheamus coming out Friday? That's who I got.
I see a double count out.
I like that. Stick with
the
3 of them.
I feel like that's the only way to go. I feel like it's the only fair way to go, and I think that's what they do. I feel like if it is just 1-on-1, unfortunately, Drew was right. Sheamus had his chance, and he kind of blew it.
Clash of the Castle, great match. Yeah.
Clash of the Castle. So Drew hasn't really fought for a belt in a while. Well, since Clash of the Castle.
Since then, yeah.
So I think I would have Drew if they're going to go the solo route, but I think it's going to be a double counter. I think they want to keep it a triple threat match.
Yeah, I didn't think of that. That's a great idea. I hope they do.
I feel like so far, it would be the only triple threat match going into WrestleMania so far out of everything else that's been booked. So I think, and that would be a banger after banger.
That'd be great. I think that'd be fantastic. And, again, regardless who comes out of that match, you have maybe if it was just one person, maybe you would have a Drew. I would definitely have a Sheamus. I would like to definitely see the odd man out on the WrestleMania card. They're too good not to be on, Sheamus or Drew.
Exactly, yeah.
So put them on there with Gunther. Why not? So let's go to this next segment. Rollins was backstage with where Corbin wants to be the Miz's co-host for WrestleMania. Miz Corbin says he has a lot of pull, but not that much to make him a co-host. Corbin says says to Seth that he's a 3-time Golden Gloves boxing champion and that he can give Rollins some pointers after Seth recently got knocked down, or some may say knocked out, by Logan Paul the prior week on Raw. Rollins says he would rather take boxing lessons from his daughter. Long story short, we're getting a Rollins-Corbin match later on in the night. Gonna fast forward to Elias versus Bronson Reed Here. I don't know what you think. I know you like Rick Boogs, so do I, but Rick Boogs, man, his arms and shoulders, massive.
Huge.
He's bigger than ever.
Huge.
He looks like a new person. Really.
He does.
I do miss the guitar bit though. I got to be honest. The whole Shinsuke bit.
So,
I
yeah.
miss that. Where the hell Shinsuke Nakamura? Anyway, this match was a semi-squash. I guess you could say tsunami splash for the victory. Bronson Reed continues to dominate. Um, I'll be honest. I love Elias as much as you do. We both have Elias merch and stuff, but we walk with Elias. But Ezekiel in his short run last year got a better. He was booked
Oh
better
yeah.
in wins. He was teaming up with Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton. What the
Yep.
hell's going on? Will Elias ever get some true direction and ever see even a mid card title? Do you think?
Mid-card title, I don't know. But what I see is them going into maybe a segment at WrestleMania with him
Mhm.
and Rick Boogs performing, and Elias turns heel finally because he has to.
Sure.
He has to. He has to be that mid-card heel that he's always been. I think it's great when he gets on the mic. I mean, he wore an Ezekiel shirt on Monday too. I thought that was pretty cool.
Did he? I didn't even notice that. Wow, that's pretty
Yeah,
good.
he wore the Ezekiel shirt that says "I'm not Elias," so I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, he's losing every week. Him and Corbin should just be a tag team.
Elias is the expected one to turn heel too, but I will tell you what, if Rick Boogs does turn heel, I could just as easily see it happening because I think with this new look, I think he would be a pretty convincing heel. Although, don't get me wrong, Rick Boogs is
Yeah,
he's more fun as a babyface than Elias, but
yeah.
which is close. It is close, but I think a Rick Boogs heel, that would be the first time we saw that on the main roster, and I think that'd be pretty
Oh
interesting.
yeah. I just see Rick Boogs as like I see him as like the Madcap Moss of Raw.
Mm. Yeah, where the hell's Madcap
Like,
Moss? Where's
I mean,
Emma?
he had a title shot the other day. What was it
Yeah, I
2
know. A
weeks
couple
ago? He
weeks
had a
ago.
shot?
Yeah, a couple weeks ago. But now, I don't know, man. Oh, they were supposed to turn heel as a duo too, right? Him and his girlfriend Emma.
Yeah,
Whatever.
they need to too.
Emma's still searching for a victory. For God's sake, she's been back 3 months, I think. Hopefully, she won at a house show or something. So let's go to
Yeah.
Chad Gable. He was backstage with missing posters for his tag team partner Otis, soon to be Otis. Now, I don't know if you
Mhm.
peeped this, but Chad Gable was wearing an American Alpha hoodie. Back to the days where he was with Jason Jordan. He was wearing an American Alpha hoodie. There was a patch on his left shoulder, so I found that to be rather interesting. Bringing back Jason Jordan from a production role, that'd be fun. But Otis, Maximum Male Models Bound, maybe. I mean, he was on WWE's The Bump Wednesday.
Mm.
He still claims to be part of Alpha Academy and that Chad Gable is still his best friend, mentor, coach, whatever. Otis did say that Maxine Dupree does make him feel good inside. And Justin, I got to beg the question, how does Maxine
Mm.
Dupree make Justin feel? I feel like I may know the answer to this.
Inside.
Good inside. She says she keeps her boys booked and busy, so maybe you'll be the fourth member after Otis. How would we pronounce your
Malcolm?
name? How would we pronounce you? Justin?
Justine.
Justin time?
Oh. I don't like that at all.
Yeah. All right, we'll work on that. We'll work on that. We got some time.
Yeah.
Let's go to this next bit. Backstage, KO tells Kathy Kelly that he doesn't need Sami Zayn, nor does he want Cody Rhodes' help. Just like Cody helped Sami a week prior, he wants him to focus on his main event match at WrestleMania against Roman Reigns. He wants to fly solo against Solo Sikoa later in the night for the main event match. Now, we're jumping over to a pre-recorded segment. This is Austin Theory and the Street Profits. They're backstage. Theory asked, who's the toughest of the Street Profits? Theory says, I think it's Dawkins. Tells Montez Ford it's not him. He's just a big bag of jokes. Says, never mind. Who wants the smoke and that and all that? He says, all you do is choke. Theory asks the Profits, which one are you, or what are you two doing at WrestleMania? He goes, oh, that's right, nothing. So we ended up getting a one-on-one match between Angelo Dawkins and Theory. Of course, Angelo does his thing well. We knew he was not going to win this match. Of course, Austin Theory going into a WrestleMania match, defending his United States Championship against who other than John Cena. So, obviously, we did see that next week we're going to get a match between the other half of the Street Profits, Montez Ford and Austin Theory. And at the end of this match, Theory got the win. This was a non-title match, but post-match, Theory put Dawkins in the STF. A shot, of course, that's one of Cena's notable moves. So what do you think about this? Not so much with the Street Profits bit, but what are your thoughts, since we haven't spoken in a while, on Austin Theory and John Cena at WrestleMania?
I thought he got owned in that segment. I thought it was vintage Cena. I'm excited about it, but I also love how John Cena said, either way, you lose. Like, yeah, whether you win, you lose. Whether you lose, you lose. And I love that. That puts so much pressure on Austin Theory, and I think where he goes after, I obviously have him winning, because John Cena is just putting people over at this point.
Sure.
I just have, I have, I have Austin Theory's like trajectory just going. I think it's gonna be a huge year for him.
I hope so. I really do hope so.
Yeah,
I like the beard on him too, man. It looks really good.
yeah.
Guy went from a
He needed that.
mustache to a
He needed to
goatee
give
to a
up
beard.
the.
What's
He
that?
gave up the onesie. He gave up the onesie.
Yeah, he did. He did drop that, which is a good call without question. This
Yeah.
next segment, Paul Heyman says to Kathy Kelly backstage, in regards to Cody, we spoke about this earlier. If you want to acknowledge your tribal chief, as Cody mentioned in the promo, you can do so next Monday on Raw, live from St. Louis, Missouri. Roman will be there, and then we will find out if you're what do you say, a challenger or a problem. And that I
Mhm.
said something along the lines of, if you are a problem, Roman Reigns would love to solve, something like that. Um, so this is going to be the second time in 2 weeks that Roman and Cody are going to be in the same ring. Of course, Cody visited SmackDown 2 weeks ago, and they had that segment,
Mhm.
which Roman did, in my opinion, have the upper hand. Obviously, it was very good. Um, so this is a much needed moment, and I hope that although Cody had a great promo on Raw this past Monday, I hope that Cody leans more towards getting the upper hand in
Yeah.
St. Louis.
I think you will, and I think this is like I said, I just feel like this is great storytelling, and I'm glad that we're seeing Roman and Cody on the same shows, whether it be SmackDown or Raw going into this, because you don't get that same feel when they're just talking about each other on their respected shows. Not to say that Roman Reigns' show shouldn't also be Raw, because he's also
He's the champion there.
the world champion there too.
Yeah,
So, I mean, the Usos are every week they're on both shows.
sure.
Solo every week he's on both shows.
Well, I'm glad that
Um,
I'm glad Roman's shown up on Raw opposed to SmackDown like 2 weeks ago because it's like you said, you got to divvy it up. It can't just be SmackDown.
yeah, and I mean, I feel like the fans deserve it, especially on the road to WrestleMania. You don't know how many more times you'll have these opportunities, whether it be because the bloodline, dissolves, or just Roman goes on a bigger hiatus, when you can get your city, when you can get Roman Reigns to say your city name to acknowledge him. Like, I feel like it's good that you're spreading him out. It's sometimes with going into WrestleMania season, you have that issue where the people that are booked for these big matches, they're not there every week. Roman Reigns has that mouthpiece when he's not there, Paul Heyman. So I'm glad that they're really giving an opportunity to the fans to really see him in this build-up with Cody Rhodes.
I think, this is going to be the second time they're face to face. I think the number's three. I think the third and final time they meet before Mania is that final SmackDown 2 days before their main event match on Friday, the 31st of March, whatever city they're in for
Uh,
SmackDown. Do that, and then, hey, it's 48 hours from there. We'll be having that big main event match for the both titles. Big match.
But I really hope they don't give any indication whether, how we always say, the person who gets the last laugh
Yeah,
doesn't win. I hope they don't. I hope they can keep it considerably even, when they do that, because I still don't know. I don't like. I'm leaning towards one, but if the other one wins, it still makes sense.
sure.
So I don't know. I feel like it's going to be such a game time decision. Like, when we do the prediction show, I feel like I'm going to pick that person when you ask who's going to win this match.
And I also agree when they most likely will have that third and final meeting on that SmackDown before Mania weekend. I hope that it isn't a physical altercation. I hope they just both speak their piece, get in each other's face, stare one another down. And you know what? Hey, if you want to have the Usos mix it up eventually with what we think will be KO and Sammy in the coming days, finally squaring that away, fine. But when it comes to Cody and Roman, keep them close, but keep them apart because we don't want to
Yeah.
see anyone with the upper hand necessarily in a physical manner.
Mhm.
Verbally, sure, but in a physical manner, definitely not. So let's go to the second inductee for the 2023 WWE Hall of Fame that was announced this past Wednesday on again WWE show The Bump by the Nature Boy. Ric Flair goes out to the Great Muta. Now he wrestled in New Japan, All Japan, a variety of other promotions, not including WWE, but still received the honor for his contribution to professional wrestling. As you know, many others know as well, on New Year's Day, Shinsuke Nakamura defeated the Great Muta in the main event of the Pro Wrestling Noah at their New Year's event show, which took place I'm not even going to pronounce the hall. I know I'm going to screw that up, but it was in Tokyo, Japan. Last but not least, Great Muta is known for spewing the mist onto opponent's face. That's where Asuka gets it from. She
Mhm.
spew the green as she's doing the whole blue bit, as we've seen the last couple of weeks. So shout out to Rey Mysterio, the first inductee, probably the headliner, and now the Great Muta.
Yeah, awesome. I remember Great Muta briefly in WCW. Not too familiar with his work, but anybody who's such a contributor to professional wrestling that deserves it. I mean, I'm glad that WWE is acknowledging these people who didn't even wrestle for their company. So I think that's pretty awesome.
Oh, heck yeah. And as we spoke about Carl Anderson in the past, back in October when the Good Brothers came back to WWE, we thought it was so crazy that he still held the Never Openweight Championship in New Japan. We're like, wow, he still holds that title, yet he came to WWE and WWE still let him defend it. Eventually lost to
Yeah,
Tama Tonga a couple months ago. Long story short, a lot of people were surprised that Shinsuke Nakamura was allowed to go back to Japan, even though he's from there, wrestled there for years, and have this match against Great Muta on New Year's Day. But now it makes sense. They said, why not have a match against him, this legend? And hey, we're going to induct him this year as well. So that's
yeah.
pretty damn cool, you
Slowly
know?
but surely, slowly but surely. I think Triple H he's making these relationships with New Japan. I'm sure on the surface he has some other people. I mean, remember we had Mickey James, Impact Women's Knockout Champion in the Royal Rumble. So slowly but surely, WWE is getting with the times, and that is, and it's things like that that kind of keep me at ease that McMahon isn't, behind the scenes as much because he would have never. I mean, think about it. From before this year, when McMahon was in charge of creative, in charge of pretty much everything,
Oh yeah.
has he done anything like this? No.
No, when he was in
So
sole
I think
control.
this is,
Yeah.
yeah, I think this is a very good. I think it could kind of keep us a little bit at ease where the company's going and where they're trying to move forward because that's where the money's at. And if they're so hounded about money, I feel like opening these forbidden doors, especially with the company on the verge of being sold, I think this is the way to go.
Look, your mouth to God's ears. I hope so. And, the whole thing I'm worried about mainly with Vince is that it's been like February, obviously March, maybe even late January that I feel like he's contributed. Maybe prior to the whole Muta Nakamura, certainly the whole Carl Anderson bit. I'm worried about lately, but hey, let's take it a day at a time. We see some things that
Yeah,
are very Vince McMahon like, but let's just hope to God that Triple H continues to be in power as much as
yeah.
he can creatively.
Now, don't get me wrong. If the idea that Vince has makes sense, go for it. But I feel like it's more majority. He's more of a minority than ever when he's trying to make if he's trying to make suggestions. I
Sure.
feel like it's very quickly xed if it doesn't make sense to them because the product hasn't been outside of a couple of instances where you could say, okay, this could be a Vince idea. I think that the product has been very good. The storytelling's been very good. They've really been listening to what the fans have wanted. I don't think Sami Zayn and Roman would have happened at Elimination Chamber if Vince was still in charge. I don't. I don't think the Bloodline storyline with an underdog like Sami Zayn, where he is now as the top babyface, we haven't seen something like that since Kofi Mania.
Sure.
So, and that was forced. I feel like this is more organic, and they're just continuing to see where it goes, as opposed to them thinking it's forced. Because if that was the case, Sami Zayn would be in the main event with Cody Rhodes and and Roman Reigns, and they're not doing that. They're more so interjecting Cody Rhodes into the whole situation, so you still want to see Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns, the match that makes sense.
What did you say was forced? I was curious to
I
that.
feel like I feel like Kofi Mania was forced, and not in a
Really?
bad way. I think it was like they forced their hand. I don't think I feel like it wasn't. I feel like it happened so quickly. I feel like this has been more organic, brought over time to where the storytelling really makes you love. It makes you love Sami Zayn, but they're handling it where it's not going to hinder what the direction of WWE wants for the World Championship. I
Sure.
feel like because if that was the case, they wouldn't have squashed Kofi and he lost his championship the way he was if they really cared for how his reign was going to go,
Yeah,
in
that
my
was
opinion.
that was terrible in
And I
my
think that,
opinion. Even though it was six
and
months, that was a terrible way to have
yeah,
Kofi lose.
And Bryan Danielson even said, he's like, that was one of the greatest moments, Mike. It was the greatest moment of his career, being there for Kofi. And I love Kofi Kingston. I hope he gets better soon. I'm sorry that he didn't get to be in that fatal 5-way for a shot at Gunther. But I just feel like it was a situation, it was a feel-good story with Kofi. I'm glad that they did it. But that's a situation where Vince McMahon was forced and he went with it. And then when it was all said and done, he got rid of it the same way he wouldn't have wanted it in the first place. With Sami Zayn, Triple H has built this story for over a year now, and now we're finally here. And he got his match. He lost it in incredibly dramatic fashion in Canada, in his
Yeah,
hometown.
great match. Yeah,
which they did. So I feel like they're more so going in a route that is like I said, the storytelling is more to it. There was no storytelling behind Kofi Mania besides it's been 14 years, but they've really drawn this out with Sami Zayn, and I think that in my mind, I feel like Vince was impatient. You know what I mean? I feel like he wanted to get to where they wanted to be, get the pop, sell the merch, and then get rid of them. I feel like this is a completely different situation. Over the past year, how many Sami Zayn Bloodline shirts have I bought? Like, if you think about it,
sure.
like 7.
Yeah,
So
you
I
bought a
feel like
lot.
they're doing it right. I feel like they're doing it right. Sorry to go
So
off topic.
no, you're totally on topic because it's still along the lines of the underdog story here. We're talking about, in my opinion, I don't think it was forced. I don't think, I think Daniel Bryan, I think Kofi, I don't look at it as forced, but I do understand what
Mhm.
you're saying from the storyline point. I think both were great stories in their own right. Sami Zayn was completely different than Daniel Bryan and Kofi without question. Um, but my thing is, the good thing about Triple H overseeing the Bloodline story, and don't get me wrong, Vince McMahon is still overseeing it. And even if Vince did have a lot of say in the whole Montreal bit and Elimination Chamber, I don't see him opposed to it because it still spotlights the Bloodline storyline in the correct way. And honestly, Vince's number one priority right now, before, during, or after, is Roman Reigns, namely, and the bloodline, and making sure that
Yeah,
goes as planned. I feel like everything else is kind of like let the chips fall where they may, but
yeah,
the whole story is with Sami Zayn and the Usos. We were all prisoner of the moment. We would have loved to see Sami Zayn win an Elimination Chamber in his hometown. Who
yeah,
wouldn't? But of course, they had to go with the bigger story here. Not so, and
yeah,
to me, it's not so much about Cody and Roman, which that is what we're getting, but it's more so about it's with Sammy and the relationship and interactions he had with Jay and now
hmm,
Jimmy. And so getting his best friend back, KO, and hey, let's go for those tag titles, whether it's Raw, SmackDown, or both. But
exactly.
if they didn't, the way they took the title off of Kofi, going back to that, if they
Hmm.
didn't care for him so much, I think they would have took it off earlier because he did still have a 6 month reign. But
Yeah,
when they did premiere on SmackDown that very first night, we couldn't believe it. What was it? One F5 and the title was
yeah,
taken off of him. It was insane. So that was terrible how they did it. But what are you going to do? He still got his WrestleMania moment at 35, much like Daniel Bryan.
yeah,
Bryan was a huge part of that too, not just the fans, because he wanted to put Kofi
mhm,
over here in New Jersey.
yeah.
So, but
And
anyway,
I love that. Oh man,
yeah,
Kofi Mania was great.
it was a good
But
time.
real quick, yeah, but real quick, just to go back to what you're saying, like this might be an unpopular opinion, but I would much rather see Sami Zayn as a tag team champion, just because off of his interviews, he says it like I'm not that guy. I can't be that guy. He said that, and you have to realize like he can't perform in Saudi Arabia, so you're not going to want to have a championship on him, and they're going to be there in what a few months for King of the Ring. So you give him
Yeah,
that, you give him a short reign, and then you take it off, or you just don't have the belts. You could get away with not having a tag team title match, but
sure.
with that also being said, it's more of a realistic title for him, especially his first. This will be his first babyface title with the on the main roster. Him
That's
with
right.
Kevin Owens. I just feel like they're a very realistic tag team that can really start to put over a lot of other tag teams on the roster. I think this storyline, when it eventually culminates to them hugging it out when they win the belts, or they hug it out right before they realize they're going to be the tag team that's going to face the Usos at WrestleMania, like that's going to be that next feel good pop after Sami Zayn hit Roman with the chair at Royal Rumble. I just think it's continuous storytelling, but seeing Sami Zayn as a tag team champion is more realistic for a longer period of time,
Yeah,
and that's what the fans want to see.
and that's the story too. At the end of the day, again, like I said a few minutes ago, would it have been nice if he won in Elimination Chamber against Roman? Sure, of course it would have. But from a booking standpoint going forward, whether Sammy believes in himself as the company guy or not, the story is with the Usos and the tag titles and his best friend Kevin Owens. Roman was obviously the flavor of the week or month where him and Roman were having the back and forth, the tough love, but that wasn't the overall story of the last several months and going forward. So speaking of the Forbidden Door, though, like you were talking about with the Great Muta and then Nakamura in WWE and stuff, Japan, it was announced Wednesday that AEW, by the way, is doing Forbidden Door again. They're doing the Forbidden Door, so now WWE's got to do it sometime soon. It was announced that once again, New Japan and AEW will join forces. It will be taking place Sunday, June 25th in Toronto at the Scotia Bank the Scotia Bank Arena. So we are getting a part 2 to that. Last year was great. I don't know if you happened to catch it. Speaking real quickly on formerly known as Sasha Banks, Mercedes Moné, I don't think she's necessarily going to AEW, but if we do see her, this would be the time that we see her in AEW, because you're seeing that IWGP Women's Champion, which is Sarah from New Japan, potentially going up against a Jamie Hayter or whoever they have as champ. That'd be kind of cool.
Against a Jamie Hayter, maybe a Jade Cargill.
That could happen as well. Undefeated,
something like that. I think that'd be pretty cool.
So let's hop back to this review. Let's talk about the other Hall of Famer this year, the initial inductee, Rey Mysterio. He made his way to the ring at the top of the 10 o'clock hour, making his first appearance on Raw in 5 months since the season premiere that I was at the Barclays Center. Anyway, I love that fuchsia/pink mask that Rey had. I don't know how you felt, but that kind of brought me back to Halloween Havoc 97 against Eddie Guerrero.
Yep.
It was kind of a similar look there. So loving the nostalgia there. Yet again,
I love
much like SmackDown.
His mask game has always been on point.
How do you feel about the sometimes he's got like the little mohawk going up the middle? Do you like those styled ones, or you like the old school Rey Mysterio masks? I'm more of an old school
ones. Like when I see those, I think of like those helmets that the people used to wear like in like medieval times.
You know what?
It has like a broom at the top.
The Viking Raiders used to come out with stuff like that too. I mean, like, dude, you're bald. You're coming out with this long wig kind of thing, and that's what's weird too. Rey's bald, and it's just like he's got like this mohawk going on. I don't know, kind of odd. But I'm like you. I like the old school masks.
Yeah,
it's the way to go. Come on now. Don't you come on here with one of those masks with a fake mohawk? Cut it.
Don't tempt me.
Just keep it with the snapback, right? Looks best that
way. I'll go right on right now. I'll go on. I'm on WWE Shop all the time.
Yeah, cut it out.
I live there.
So of course, yet again, just like SmackDown, he was interrupted by his son Dominik. Says he's got to where he's at the expense of him. You chose all these strangers here in the crowd instead of being there for your kids. Says he turned 16 and that you were going to get me a new car. All my friends showed up with a new Mercedes, and you got me a BMW. It wasn't even an M series. Unbelievable. What kind of father are you? Dominik finally challenged his father to a match at WrestleMania. Of course, the crowd chanted yes. Rey says, I don't know how many times I got to tell you, I'm not going to fight my own son, whether you believe it or not. I love you, son. I always will. There will be no match at WrestleMania. Rey walks out the ring. We've seen this far too often for the last 6 months since Dominik turned on him at Clash at the Castle, right? He goes, you ran away from Raw, you ran away from your entire family, and you ran away from me. The only thing you actually taught me is what not to be. So the saga continues with this. Obviously, we're going to get this match. Dare I say, this could be the very last match booked at WrestleMania, as late as that SmackDown before Mania, maybe at the Hall of Fame ceremony. Who knows?
Yeah. And that's the thing. I guess with this storyline, what I'm most excited to see is what puts Rey over. Like, what puts him over the edge to say, you know what? I'm going to fuck you up. I'm going to beat your ass.
I've had enough.
Like, what is it going to do? I think it's going to involve his mom. I feel like that's the only way. Like, he, like, yells at his mom. He says something disrespectful to his mom. There's an angle where he hits his mom. Never hit your mom, kids. Never hit your mom.
Definitely not. Absolutely not.
But something like that, like, because he's mushed him. He's hit him. He gave him a baseball slide the other night. Like, what is it gonna take? And that is where I am. That's where I'm at with the storyline. What is it gonna take for Rey to say, "All right, it's time. I gotta teach you a lesson." And that's what I'm excited for.
It's brewing.
Oh,
and we know it's the inevitable. You know, we know it's the inevitable. It's bound to happen. So look, we're gonna get
I
it.
thought, yeah, I thought when he said that thing about he should have been Eddie's kid, I thought that was it. I was like, oh,
That was
okay.
SmackDown, right? That was SmackDown
Yeah, that was on
last week.
SmackDown. I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
oh,
that's right.
there it is. And he didn't. And I was like, all right, what is it going to take? It has to be bigger than that.
There's been so many opportunities for him to just say, you know what, I've had enough, and that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. It's got to be like literally right before Mania. Dare I say, even at the Hall of Fame speech, Hall of Fame ceremony, where he's gonna be like, "You did this to me. This is my moment in front of all these people. I'll see you tomorrow night at WrestleMania," and everybody's gonna be a huge pop. Everybody's gonna go
Mhm.
nuts. So the next
What about
segment
the
here
character
was,
build? But what about the character build of Dominik? Like, it's so much. He's so much more broader than he was a year ago.
yeah, well, when
I think
you're a
he's
different man when you do hard time. He's ex-con Dom. Come on now, he spent a couple hours in a what a local prison. It's tough.
all
He was there
right. So
for
next,
he was there for an entire 3 hours, right? The Miz played him a few months
3 hour.
ago.
I'm weak.
That was great. Seth Rollins defeats Baron Corbin with a curb stomp off of the back of the Miz. That was nasty.
That was
Onto
so cool.
That was dope. On the Corbin for the statement victory. Um, next up here, I'm going to jump right to Chad Gable. Gable stumbles upon the Maximum Male Models backstage, sees his tag team partner, formerly known as Otis. The Maximum Male Models were set to have a match, but Mansois was not cosmetically cleared to compete. He hurt his hand. Had to make sure I jotted that in the notes. Massey claims that Gable broke Mansois' camera with his ick, whatever that might be. Looks like we've seen the last of Alpha Academy, quite possibly. This is going to be interesting. They're real life best friends, as I mentioned earlier, that don't want to actually split up. They don't. They in real life they do not want to split up. Like I said, they live right down the road from each other, and unless this means what the rumor was a few weeks ago as to why they're doing it, as if Gable is going to get some kind of a singles push, which we saw he finally got a victory this past Monday on Raw.
Yeah.
If it means Gable's going to get a push, I don't know if it means any gold in the mid card, but look, I'm all for it. All joking aside, I kind of like Otis's. Why am I even calling him Otis? It's Otis. I'm calling him Otis. This is ridiculous. It's Otis. It's Otis to me, damn it. But I do like his new look, though. I mean, he does look good. He fits it well. I don't know, in kind of a strange place. It's a strange way, rather. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. Technically they're still together. We'll see. How do you feel? Would you rather see Alpha Academy together, or would you rather see him go the Maximum Male Models, which seems to be outside of Maxine Dupree? It seems to be not the way to go.
I think Otis deserves a babyface run, and I feel like he's kind of there. But I feel like he can't do that with Chad Gable because he's still kind of a dick.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if they break him up, I would love to see this on a pre-show for WrestleMania.
Pre-show. All right. We'll see what happens.
Yeah,
we'll see.
I don't think it's main card worthy. Do you?
Not necessarily, especially if Triple H is trying to keep this card smaller. I mean, if it was up to Triple H, he'd have 5 matches each night, NXT Takeover style, like we saw at the Rumble. He had 5, Elimination Chamber 5. I think we're gonna get 7 and 7, which is still good. I know they usually do like 8 or 9 a night, but 7 and 7's fine. 14 matches, I'll take it. Let's go to this women's match, shall we? We'll get to the history bit in a little bit regarding Bianca Belair. She went one-on-one with Chelsea Green, with Carmella by her side. Now, Belair's current title run started at WrestleMania 38, defeating Becky Lynch. As we spoke about off air, prior to this, the EST of WWE has held the Raw Women's Championship for over 300 days. Now, first becoming the longest reigning male or female Black World Champion in the company's history, a la The Rock, Booker T. Now, as of a couple of days ago, has surpassed MVP's 343-day record reign, when he was United States champion. I believe as of this recording, she was around 345, 346 days and counting as the overall longest reigning Black champion of all time. Shout out to Bianca Belair. That's awesome.
Yeah, definitely. And haven't had a pod since February. So Black History Month, Women's and National Women's Month.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, good for her. Breaking boundaries, and I love Bianca because my daughter loves Bianca, and where she goes after she loses to Asuka at WrestleMania, we shall see. But
and we could say this as two Bianca fans. We both love Bianca Belair. But look, Asuka gotta win, man. Asuka needs, not
Yeah,
only does
Asuka
Asuka
has
need her, she doesn't only need her WrestleMania moment, but Asuka, deservedly so, needs to be the next champion on Monday Night Raw.
both challengers for the women's belts at WrestleMania need to win.
Yeah, yeah,
They
and
both need to win.
they should. And you know
Oh,
what?
yeah.
I don't know if they're gonna pull the trigger on both, like they did at WrestleMania 37, where Bianca beat Sasha and Rhea beat Asuka. Right? I hope that both win. At minimum, if one of them win at Mania, then the other one better win at Backlash.
Yeah.
You can't again. Let's just say this: you can't go into the end of the month of May with them not being both women's champions, Asuka and Rhea Ripley.
I believe I couldn't believe that more being. Well, I can't even talk. I'm sorry.
You agree with
I
me?
couldn't. I agree with you. I see that being more true. There it is.
Facts,
I
facts.
feel like two. We've had a babyface champion for a while. I think there's some up and coming baby faces that deserve a push against the belt, and I think that we're going to see that on both shows, and that's why I think it just makes sense. I think Asuka's going to be a longer champion than Rhea, but we'll see.
Yeah, well, I also hope for that too, personally.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. We got a couple weeks to make our predictions, but nonetheless, we still hope that happens. The way this match ended between Bianca, Chelsea Green, KOD to Green for the win. Post-match attack by Mella yet again for the second week in a row, just like last week with Mella going up against Bianca. Asuka comes to Bianca's aid, making sure her WrestleMania opponent's in top-tier condition, no excuses. However, Asuka played mind games this week. It was kind of weird. She was dancing, playing the air guitar with the Raw Women's Championship, pretend she was going to spew the blue mist, went on the title. That's Asuka for you. She's loony more than ever. So,
Oh yeah.
but we dig it. We dig it. So next week I'm on the Night Raw. Before I get to this main event, next week, like I mentioned earlier, Montez Ford versus Austin Theory in a non-title match. Bianca Belair and Asuka go up against the tag team of Carmella and Chelsea Green. Logan Paul hosts his podcast Impulsive TV on Raw next week. And as mentioned earlier, Roman Reigns returns to Raw. Hopefully, the second face-to-face with Cody Rhodes. That's what it's all about. Let's get to the main event. Justin, you ready?
Oh yeah. Real quick though, I like Carmella and Chelsea Green going forward as a tag team.
We haven't been able to
I think
talk
that's
about them. Yeah, I love it.
yeah.
I love it.
I love it. I think that's a tag team that can compete for the belts. I feel
Without
like that's a
question.
tag team that you could start bridging this division around, this tag team, this women's tag team division around. I like that. I like this choice. Great heels, great on the mic. Oh, good job. Good
Yeah,
job putting them together.
I
Really
like that
like that.
pairing. I like that pairing. And when they first brought Chelsea Green on, or brought her back rather to WWE about 4 or 5 weeks ago, probably since one of our last episodes, I had made mention that Chelsea Green, in her very own way, reminded me. You know how she was very snooty the first couple episodes, and like
Mhm.
to Adam Pearce, I need this and I need that and I need that, all these amenities. It reminded me
Yeah.
of how Carmella was a couple years ago when they first brought her back with
Mhm.
Reggie as her butler, and I was like, wow, Chelsea
Yep.
Green reminds me of that Carmella from 2021. And now here they are together, and I love the pairing. Future women's tag team champions, no doubt about it. They'll see gold this
And
year.
maybe their husbands, future men's tag team champions. I could see them being a tag team.
Matt Cardona and Corey Graves.
And Corey Graves is coming back. He just doesn't know when.
Yeah, when I thought I was hoping we get a again with a reduced card. I understand it's probably tough to squeeze them on, but I thought maybe we'd be getting that Pat McAfee Corey Graves match. I guess not. Guess not.
Where
Maybe
is Pat McAfee?
Where the hell is he? I thought last month he was coming back. We still got Wade Barrett on SmackDown, which I do love, but I thought
I
they could
love
bring back
Wade.
all three.
I
Or
think he might come back.
at least put
Put him
Wade
back in
backstage.
WrestleMania.
Even if they
Yeah.
moved Wade from commentary, put him backstage. He'd be a great backstage announcer. So.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Main event time. Street fight between the Street Champ, aka the Enforcer, Solo Sikoa, the Bloodline, going up against the prize fighter, KO, Kevin Owens. Owens has lost a noticeable amount of weight. I don't know if you noticed that, Justin. Definitely toning up. This is probably the
yeah.
best shape I've seen Kevin Owens in a very long time. You can tell in his
Mhm.
arms, in his face. Dude looks good. So going up, one-on-one, anything goes. Solo suckered KO backstage where the Usos met Owens with a
Oh.
super kick. Speeding up to the end here. 3-on-1 led to an easy victory for Solo Sikoa. Now that's reason enough for KO to say, you know what? Maybe I can't take on the Bloodline alone. He's been telling Sammy no for weeks now. Put it in the past. Let's brush it under the rug, and let's take those tag titles at WrestleMania, as we spoke about throughout this show.
Yeah.
And I can't wait. So what do you say? Are we gonna get it as early as SmackDown, maybe next week at Raw. I mean, when do you think the time comes where KO and Sammy reunite? KO's Raw, Sammy's SmackDown. But what do you say?
I think it would make the most sense next week on Raw with Roman being there and Cody being there. I think that would probably make sense
Hmm.
to really culminate. Listen, it's us three versus you guys. Like, let's do this.
Yeah.
I could see it. I could see a 3-man tag, a 6-man tag match between the Usos and Solo versus KO, Sammy, and Cody before WrestleMania. That I could see happening. Maybe that Raw. Wait, is next week the Raw before? No, 2 weeks, right?
2 weeks. 2 weeks.
So maybe not
Seriously.
this Raw,
We
but the
got the
following
20th and the
Raw.
27th.
Yeah. So the 27th, you have that you have that 6-man tag match because Roman's not supposed to be there, but the Bloodline are going to be there to go away. To go away. Raw before the pay-per-view. That gives Cody enough time. That gives them enough time to all, heal up before. And then that can also lead to them not really having a who's going to win at WrestleMania because they could still do something that Friday where they just, kind of talk it out. So I think that could be a really good route to go. And then that's when, listen, Bloodline, the Usos versus Sami Zayn and KO for the tag belts. I think that Monday is key.
I want to shift our focus for a few minutes here to NXT. I want to make a couple mentions for Stand
Yeah.
and Deliver because it does involve a Monday Night Raw superstar in one Johnny Gargano, the heart and soul of NXT, returning for the first time in 15 months. So I want to get to that, and he was on the most recent episode of NXT. It opened up with Johnny Gargano cutting a promo in the middle of the ring. He goes, "There's a lot of talk lately about finishing your story," alluding to Cody Rhodes. "Well, I'm back to finish my story in regards to Grayson Waller." Says Waller took closure away from him last February during his final NXT appearance when he was struck with a steel chair. Says the last guy who took him out became one of the greatest NXT champions of all time in Tommaso Ciampa a couple years back when his best friend turned on him. He goes on to say, "So what have you done since taking me out last year? 2 failed NXT title opportunities and pretty much just bad mouthing your peers and all of NXT." He goes, "No matter what brand I'm on, NXT is my home, and you do not screw with a man's home." Now, this was very interesting. Vic Joseph of the commentary team at that very moment went up to Johnny Gargano during this promo with his cell phone. He was like, "What the heck?" And on Grayson Waller was on Instagram Live making his way over to Johnny Gargano's home there in Florida. I hopped on there for a little bit, not going to lie. There's over 2,000 people watching. Gargano immediately ran to the back. Waller continued to cut a promo on IG Live for a couple minutes. It was actually pretty funny. And he says, "If I were you, lad, I would get here as soon as I can." Johnny is seen shortly thereafter peeling out of the parking lot while Mackenzie Mitchell tried to get a word in edgewise with him. Fast forward to the end of the night where Johnny ends up getting there in time, mixes it up with one Grayson Waller. There was actually a very funny photo. I don't know if you happen to catch it. It said baby wrestling. Obviously, Johnny's baby boy made his debut on NXT because Candice LeRae walked out the front door with him. Obviously, Johnny Gargano got beat down pretty bad, and Grayson Waller, they scared him away. But this is going to be a really good match at Stand and Deliver. I don't know if you plan on watching it. Or are you going to check that out before WrestleMania?
Definitely gonna check it out. I love Grayson Waller. He's such a dick.
Yeah, that he is. But he does
I like
does
him
his job well. It brings that heel heat without even trying, honestly. Second thing, I got to talk about Apollo Crews here. Now, Apollo Crews had a one-on-one match against your boy Dabba-Kato on NXT, formerly
Why
known
is he my boy?
because you've been talking about him since we started this show. And you're like, "Yeah, Dabba-Kato, man," when we were talking about Commander Aziz. And that's before I even knew that was his name. I was like, wow, they go back. I thought you guys went to college together, honestly. I was doing my research, but apparently that wasn't true. But he's just your boy. So we'll do that.
Yeah.
So
all right, that's fine.
Dabba-Kato, that's why he's your boy. So Dabba-Kato, again, he was Commander Aziz with Apollo during his Intercontinental title run. Remember, just 2 years ago on Night 2 of WrestleMania 37, Apollo defeated Big E in a Nigerian drum fight. I know you remember that classic. That was a good one.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, Dabba-Kato returned to NXT last month at NXT Vengeance Day. This was after Apollo had already lost a 2-0 in a 2 out of 3 falls match to one Carmelo Hayes, who's going up against Braun Breaker for the NXT Championship at Stand and Deliver. Long story short, Kato turned on him. They had a match Tuesday night. Dabba-Kato defeated him pretty convincingly. So, man, Dabba-Kato, is that somebody you'd like to see on the main roster again, or you think he should just spend some time in NXT? Since he's your boy.
He should spend some time in NXT because last thing I remember about Commander Aziz on the main roster was he got squashed by Omos.
That he did. Yeah,
So
we haven't seen him since.
let's get Dabba-Kato some. Let's get him some love down in NXT, and then maybe we could bring him back. Maybe fight again, rematch.
Fair enough. Hey, look, the Heartbreak
for the
Kid
WWE title.
That's definitely your boy with that kind of promotion. Look, Shawn Michaels, the guy who's running NXT now. You might have heard of him, the Heartbreak Kid. Anyway, he tweeted out. Never heard of him? I'll send you a couple clips of him. He's got a highlight reel. He spent some time in the WWF.
Okay.
Once upon a time, but whatever. It's nor here nor there.
He's literally right behind you.
Well, he is behind me. Wow, look at that.
He's literally right behind you.
The guy behind the guy between Brett and Stone Cold. I've been trying to figure it out for days. Thank God you're here. Look, so that guy that's wearing red behind me, he sent out a tweet and he wrote before NXT went on air Tuesday, a couple hours prior. He wrote, "Now, as of Friday morning, Roxanne Perez was discharged from the hospital. However, after numerous tests, Roxanne's health is still in question with Stand and Deliver. In less than 3 weeks, I have the obligation to announce we possibly may have to crown a new NXT Women's Champion, which to me is very disappointing. Roxanne's only been champion since late December, since she won it off Mandy Rose after a 413-day reign. Anyway, Sean wrote, starting tonight, there will be a series of qualifying matches with the winners advancing to Stand and Deliver to compete to become the NXT Women's Champion in a ladder match. There will be 5 participants. 2 women punched their ticket Tuesday night. Zoe Stark defeated Sol Ruka, and Gigi Dolan defeated Kiana James. Both very good matches. Kiana James is currently one half of the NXT Women's Tag Team Champions, by the way. Man, so this is interesting. I'm led to believe that this has got to be all a work, correct? All storyline. And I'm thinking that she's going to be one of the women they're going to bring up, possibly the Raw after Mania. It reminds me of how they got the title off Asuka. Not in that way, but back in 2017, she kind of relinquished it. I forget if she had handed it right over to Ember Moon or if there was a match or tournament for it. But nonetheless, they didn't lose. They just vacated it and then moved up. They brought Asuka to Raw the fall of 2017. Looks like they're going to bring Roxanne Perez to Raw or SmackDown. She's damn good. We know that. This way she had a couple-month run, and she didn't have to lose it, literally, to move on up. But it is a shame because I wanted to see her compete at Stand and Deliver. I'm sure she wanted to as well.
Yeah, and I mean, if that's how they're trying to work it, I'm here for it. I do like Roxanne Perez. Was it Michael Cole or no? It was Barrett. He said she could compete on anything, and NXT, SmackDown, put her anywhere, and she'll figure it out.
Bro, 21.
And I think that's
21.
21. Last year she was the Ring of Honor champion.
Yeah,
or
start of the year. Yep.
That's crazy. Like, good for her. Like, she is the future of the women's division, and she's already doing it right. I think it's great. I think where they're going with this, with the women's belt, I think Zoe Stark is in prime position to really take over that role as that heel champion in NXT.
Sure.
And I could see that. I could definitely see that going somewhere.
I think it's time. I think it's time to crown Zoe. I thought she was going to be the one to take it off Mandy initially.
And then who's going to take it off Zoe? Nikita Lyons when she comes back. Boom.
Well, that could definitely happen. But I'm going to tell you what, though. If it's not Zoe Stark, and obviously she still has to punch her ticket. There's 3 spots left for Stand and Deliver. I could see it, if not Zoe Stark, I could see them pushing Tiffany Stratton. They really like her. Zoe's the better wrestler, obviously, but they're going for a look as well. And I feel like Tiffany may be fitting that role. But I'm pulling for Zoe. Don't get me wrong. That would be good stuff. But Tiffany Stratton, this we'll see. But anything else to say about that? A couple things to get to, then we're out of here.
I want what's her name to get a shot. Who I don't know her NXT name. I just know her when she was on Ninja Warrior. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Oh yeah, she was Casey Catanzaro. Now it's Katana Chase.
Casey Catanzaro. Is it Katana Chase? That's her.
Katana Chase is her new name. Yep.
Yeah, I love her.
She's good. She's
so cute, and she's not with Ricochet anymore. So I know the look that she likes.
Yeah. Well, she is. She is spoken for though. She is spoken for. Yeah.
Oh.
For at least a year. It's all right. Hey, look, he screws up. You slide right in there, brother. Slide right in there. They don't want none.
I gotta get her merch.
You
Does she even
should.
have merch?
Yeah, they
She
gotta have
got a
merch.
really high she got a really high grade in WWE 23. She's like a 79.
That's actually
She's
really
higher
good.
than her. She's higher than her partner,
Caden Carter.
Kaden Carter. Yeah,
Yeah.
she has a higher rating than her. Kaden Carter got like a 75.
Formerly known as Lacey Lane on the Independents, but they changed her name from Lacey Lane because there was a Lacey Evans at the very same time.
Yeah,
Little history there.
They should. I feel like Lacey Lane's doing a lot better than Lacey Evans nowadays.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. You could say that again. This is the fourth time Lacey Evans has been repackaged. Let's see if this works.
Yeah,
Unbelievable.
but
Anyway, we're not going to spend any more time on that bit. Let's get to these couple last minute notes here. I meant to mention this during the opening with Bray Wyatt. Now, she tweeted last week after everybody said, oh, Alexa Bliss is on a hiatus. Alexa said, no, that is not true. She shot that down and said, look, they know where I'm at whenever they need me or want to book me. Alexa Bliss, the reason I have my concerns about Bray Wyatt's whole situation and storyline currently is because, Alexa Bliss seemingly was supposed to be a big part of this, along with Uncle Howdy and whomever else. And for her not to be on television since pretty much the Royal Rumble loss to Bianca Belair leads me to believe that whole thing is either scrapped or on pause. And I think that is a big red flag here as far as that whole dynamic is concerned. I don't have you put any thought into that as far as her disappearance?
with the whole Bray Wyatt, Uncle Howdy, Alexa Bliss thing, I hold my breath. I kind of stay out of it. I kind of am cautiously optimistic that it rights its wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, just thinking about it, it's hard to not think the worst right now
It is
for that situation.
Yeah, no, true. Especially what we saw at WrestleMania 37, right? We had high hopes, and to see how that feud ended with the Fiend and Randy Orton and Alexa Bliss turning on him, that was the last we pretty much saw Bray Wyatt until recently.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Anyway, we had a few birthdays this week. Justin. On Wednesday, the Iron Sheik, also JD McDonough from NXT. I know you know him. Also, the AEW World Champion MJF birthday on Wednesday as well. Henry O. Godwin. I was a big fan of the Godwins, believe it or not, in the early 90s. His birthday was on Thursday. And then, of course, on St. Patrick's Day, Samoa Joe, Test. I know you remember Test. And, of course, Saturday, Rick the Model Martel and EC3, name you probably haven't heard in a while.
Wow,
Shout out to all them. Happy birthday to each and every one of them while we're at it. Before we get out of here, you did tell me that, and it was pretty ironic when we were talking about Monday Night Raw, you said they're going to be coming to your area May 15th. Unfortunately, you're not going to be in your area. You're going to be around this neck of the woods, potentially, right?
No, it's not potential. I'll be there.
You will definitely be in Jersey. And I said to Justin, I said, that's crazy you said that because May 15th in 2017, I was actually at Monday Night Raw in New Jersey. Just a random fun fact. I was like, that's crazy. But man, that sucks. How about SmackDown? They got SmackDown coming around your way anytime soon, maybe you could catch?
It's probably going to be around the same time. And I'm going to be here I'm going to be in Jersey that whole week.
Wow, that's nuts. They just announced SmackDown over here July 7th at Madison Square Garden.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's awesome.
The next show we got around here. And what's that?
I'll catch the next one.
Better. You better hold up a Turnbuckle Topix sign, bro. Let's go.
Oh, well,
pay you for it.
All right, so I'm gonna have two signs then. I'll have Turnbuckle Topix, and on the other side, I have to have a sign for my favorite YouTuber, Simon Miller. Simon, give this sign an up for his ups and downs. He's got a counter.
Fair enough. And then look, this will be a twofer because then Simon Miller will see Turnbuckle Topix as well. So that's even better.
Yeah.
Maybe
promotion. See, I got. There's a method to my madness.
It's like a win-win. You'll be like one of those boxers. You got all the promotions on your pants, and maybe we'll do the henna tattoo on your chest. Maybe you'll paint your chest or something, or no.
Sorry. No.
All right. I was hoping you would say yeah, but golly. Well, look, we got some unfortunate news to end the show. I know you're a big fan of Bobby Caldwell, who passed away Tuesday. One of his hit songs, "What You Won't Do for Love." He unfortunately passed away at the age of 71. Wow. His wife put out a tweet from his Twitter account. Bobby passed away here at home. I held him tight in my arms as he left us. I am forever heartbroken. Thanks to all of you for your many prayers over the years. It's been, basically went on to say it's been a rough 6 years. I know he wasn't walking for at least 5 of them. He had a bad neuropathy issue. So she writes, "Rest with God, my love, Mary Caldwell." So RIP to him. I don't know if you're familiar with any of his music, but I am. So Just wanted to give him a little shout out real quick, a little pay our respects at the end of the show.
Yeah, condolences to his family. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, wild stuff, wild stuff. So, all right, brother. Well, great seeing you yet again. It's been a minute. We're on the road to WrestleMania.
Road to WrestleMania. When is WrestleMania Backlash?
I want to say it's either the 6th or 7th. It's one of those dates. It's one of those dates. And then, of course, the King of the Ring, Queen of the Ring is, I want to say, the 27th
of June, or it's in May?
No, they're both in May. Start of May and end of May. Yeah. Backlash is at the beginning, and I know King of the Ring out there in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia is at the end of May.
And I'll be in Jersey right in the middle.
Yes, you will. Yes, you will. So I'll be good, brother. So look, 2 weeks away or so from WrestleMania, we'll be doing our predictions, and I'm excited. I can't wait. I can't wait to see these last few matches be made and squared away, and hopefully we see the return of Bray Wyatt.
Yeah.
Yo, look,
it's a great time to be a fan of professional wrestling.
I was just going to say that.
I love the segue.
I was just going to say
I knew it.
You saw the alley-oop. Yeah. Look, we may not always be doing our podcast consistently as we should for the Raw review, especially lately due to my hectic schedule. Things have just been nuts. So thank you for being patient with me, Justin, honestly. But we pick up where we left off, right? So it's like
absolutely. It's like we weren't on a hiatus. We can go right back into it.
Absolutely. Well, thank you once again, and thank you everybody out there for listening yet again to the Raw review on the Turnbuckle Topix podcast. I'm your host, Pat Deneen. That is my co-host, Justin. And we'll catch you next time. Thanks for listening.